how many people here, I don't know if we can raise hands or something or how to do it, but how many people know what ChatGPT is?
Oh, I've heard of it big time. Just talking about it last night.
Yeah, I don't know. Can they raise hands or something, George? I don't know how they do that. Or how many have used ChatGPT? Let's ask that one.
All the time.
Yeah, it looks like very
time,
few
yeah.
so far. So I think
Very
we're going to
few.
get a good lesson now, Alex.
Okay, Cole, can you hear me? Can I hear you?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome, everybody. This is my son, Cole.
What's up, guys?
Cole's
Nice to
with
meet
Clip
everybody.
FM.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's just an intro. My name is Cole, Alex's son. I used to run an action sports company called Juja Socks that I started when I was in high school, and grew the business. Used it to pay my way through UC Berkeley. Graduated from college in 2020 with a degree in data science. And then my first job out of college was at Apple for 2 years, and I was a backend developer for Apple.com. And then at the start of 2022, I left Apple to start working on my own projects. Currently running a company called Clip FM, which uses AI to auto-generate clips for podcasters. And we've actually been, like if you follow the Summit YouTube channel, most of the clips that we post were generated using AI from Clip FM. So pretty cool. And then I also do some like web consulting and workflow automation gigs on the side. So a plug, if anyone needs a website or help automating their stuff, let me know.
He's doing mine right now.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess some context on GPT. So ChatGPT. So it's an AI model that you could think of as a very sophisticated personal assistant. It was released in November of 2022 by OpenAI, and it's quickly become one of my most used tools. I introduced my dad to it, and I think it had a similar impact on him. So we started brainstorming ways that we could integrate ChatGPT with sponsorships to help racers and companies with that, sort of automate some of the tasks that they do. So the goal of this session is to introduce you to ChatGPT if you haven't used it yet, and then give you some ideas on how you can use it to either win or retain an existing sponsor. And I'm going to make this a demo. And
can you share a screen, George?
Yeah, let me see if I could share here. And then definitely open for this to being collaborative. So feel free to interrupt if anyone has questions. Cool. So if you haven't used ChatGPT, the way to get there is chat.openai.com. And if you pay the $20 a month for the advanced model, you can choose to use the GPT-4 model. Highly recommend it. See much better results with that. And basically what you get is a simple chat interface. So typically I start by giving ChatGPT some context. So for the sake of this demo, I'm going to pretend that I'm a racer seeking sponsorship. So I might say something like, I have these copied and pasted. So I am a motorsports racer seeking sponsorship to race. Reply, okay, if you understand. And you just run that, and it should just say, okay, I understand. So the first section of this is how we can use ChatGPT to win or get a sponsor. So the first thing might be maybe you need to send some outreach emails to companies. So you might say a prompt like this: write an outreach email that I can send to the marketing director of Monster Energy seeking sponsorship. The goal of the email is to introduce myself and put myself on their radar without sounding too formal or pitchy. And you can go ahead and just run this, and it should output an email. So the subject of the email is exploring partnership opportunities with Monster Energy and motorsports. And then it writes this long email here, which I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's basically like, hope this email finds you well, give some context on yourself, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is a pretty long email. So maybe once this is finished here, we might want to reprompt ChatGPT to shorten this, because clearly, you wouldn't want to send an essay. So what I might say here is you can just say, make it way shorter. Boom. And now you're reprompting the AI by just giving a little bit more context on what you're looking for.
You can also change the tone of this, right, Cole? You can make it.
Yeah. So hey, you're jumping ahead of me. So
okay.
So the next step of this is like, yeah, you can modify the language to fit a particular task. So let's say this email is to Monster Energy. Now, let's say you want to tailor the same email to go to Stanley Black & Decker. You can just basically paste in the chat, now tailor the email to target Stanley Black & Decker. So as you can see, this one says, hi, I'm a motorsports racer who admires Monster Energy. Talks about, let's see, amplify. Yeah. So this is clearly tailored to Monster. Now let's tailor it to Stanley Black & Decker and see what that gives. So exploring synergies with Stanley Black & Decker. Perfect. So yeah, you can take existing pieces of content and have ChatGPT modify it or tweak it. Another really cool thing that I use ChatGPT a lot for is to teach me about something in a way that I like to be taught. So I like to be taught with metaphors, and sometimes I'll take topics that I don't understand, and I'll say, hey, teach me about this, give me a good metaphor. So one like another prompt you could do is like, teach me about the tool industry and help me understand why Stanley Black & Decker might be interested in sponsoring off-road racers. And then, Stanley Black & Decker is a leading tool manufacturer, providing various tools and storage, blah, blah, blah. Let's take a look at why a company like Stanley Black & Decker might be interested in sponsoring off-road racers. So like target audience alignment, brand image and perception, and so on, community engagement. Feel free to chime in if this looks wrong, but at minimum, it usually provides a good starting point for these things. And then the last topic under like how to win sponsorships that we came up with is role playing. So typically when you are seeking a sponsorship, there might be a lot of like back and forth questions that you need to answer. So you could have ChatGPT pretend that it is a marketing director, and you are sort of being interviewed by it. Yeah. So this prompt is, you're the marketing director of Coca-Cola. I'm an off-road racer seeking sponsorship from Coca-Cola. Interview me as if you are considering me for sponsorship. We can just say, only ask one question at a time. And so
good idea.
Yeah, because we ran this earlier and it gave like 10 questions. Cool. So thank you for your interest in partnering with Coca-Cola. As a first question, could you please tell me a bit about your background in off-road racing and some of your most significant achievements to date? And you can sort of have this back and forth and practice answering these questions that you might get answered or might get asked. Cool.
Hear that? You can practice your interviews with these companies the first time you meet them. And
exactly.
He can help frame the conversation in a way that gives you an idea of what they might ask, so you're better prepared.
And this is actually a pretty popular tactic to prepare for like exams, for example. One of the best pieces of advice I got in school was to do well on exams, try to create the exam before the test. Like you should try to think of the questions you're going to get asked and then already have them answered. And this is sort of that same kind of concept. Okay, so the second part of this is, once you have a sponsor, how do you retain a sponsor? And the obvious thing here is companies sponsor racers because they want to increase sales. So how can you help them increase sales using ChatGPT? So one of the big things that we've been discovering with these sponsorship summits is that blog posts are they actually perform really well to drive SEO and natural traffic to your site. So and also, if you're applying for a sponsorship, people are going to Google your name, and you need to have a good not just social media presence, but a Google search result presence.
Yeah, what Matt Martellio says is you are what they Google.
Right. People are going to Google your name, and they're going to look at the first 10 posts, and you can influence what those 10 posts are. So good strategy would be to have some sort of website where you post blogs, and ChatGPT can help you with that. So you can, anytime you go to an event, for example, you could write a blog post about it. You say, I raced my truck in the Baja 1000 this past weekend and won. Write a blog post highlighting how my sponsors helped me win. And then you can list out your sponsors. And let's see what that does. So this is now a blog post more tailored for the internet. Gives you some title. So unleashing victory, how sponsors fueled a winning run at the Baja 1000. And then it sort of goes into how each individual sponsor helped contribute to the win. So yeah, like
ChatGPT learned to write in my voice. It read several of my blogs, and then we created a blog that I didn't write. ChatGPT wrote it. Didn't sound very good.
yeah,
And then Cole had it trained to know my syntax and my voice. And then it rewrote the blog, and it sounded like I wrote it using my terminology. That was very interesting. You can bro it out, and you can use bro terminology. You can use slang. You can ask it to do many different derivations of a single post. And then you can take every one of those posts and post them online, make them invisible, so that people who read that language find it.
yeah,
In other words, you don't have to only have one blog post. You can have one blog post written in 100 different dialects for 100 different target readers who will then relate to that post because they read it in that dialect and it's their language and they find it.
right.
That's what's fascinating.
Yeah, so you can also similar. So what we did is we basically went to his blog here, and you can grab something like this title and say, like, here's a blog title, or here's a title of one of my current blog, generate 20 more. And so it's a really good tool to help you come up with content to create. I like to use ChatGPT to get past roadblocks. So if you ever, you need to like write something and you just can't really think of what to say, usually gives you a pretty good starting point. So any one of these could be a good blog post. And then
now do this, Cole. This is something you showed me, I thought was really cool, is generate a blog title that is maximized for search engine optimization.
Right. Okay. So we can reprompt this and say, now regenerate the titles to optimize keywords for SEO. And so now it'll give you titles that it thinks will have the highest chance of ranking on Google. And as you can see, these are a bit more clickbaity, which is sometimes what you want. So yeah, pretty cool stuff there. What like he said about, we took some full blog posts and said basically generate similar ones. You can do that with social media copy as well. So you could say something like, here are some posts that have done well, or we could say performed well. Help me create similar posts to the ones that did well. And these are just some BS posts that I made, but it's just a kind of a demonstration of, you can take your existing content that has done well and basically say, generate 10 more or 20 more along the lines of these. So yeah, that's sort of the high level overview. Open to questions or dialogue if anyone has anything.
Yeah, okay. George has a question, but I'm going to interrupt real quick before I forget it, because I'll forget if I don't say it. The way, let's say I want to be, let's say I want, I'm a driver and I'm approaching BF Goodrich Tires, and I want to be considered for sponsorship for BF Goodrich Tires. So I want to now drive traffic for BF Goodrich Tires and show them that I can do that. So how am I going to do that? Well, I can have Google tell me what the most common search terms are for tires. What kind of tire fits on my Toyota Tundra? So Google can tell me the most common search terms. ChatGPT can then write a story about why the BF Goodrich tire is best for the Toyota Tundra. It can optimize it for search engine optimization or the keywords. And then as you post that, or you can show Toyota, or you can show BF Goodrich, that the blogs that you create are maximized to drive traffic and attention to their brands. So you can brand, I did this for summits, but you can use ChatGPT for sponsors as well to promote sponsor products. And that's what's key with this. It'll do the work for you. So go ahead, Cole. Sorry. And then George had a question.
Let's go to George's question.
If we're looking at like some of the questions that came through, And a lot of these people want to know the beginning stages, like how to be introduced to somebody. Well, they also have the opportunity for the next step, which would be providing a deck or something like that. Can this help them also take some of the content that you're talking about to write the deck and to get it a little bit cleaner?
Yeah, totally. So another cool thing about ChatGPT is you can pass in a piece of content and say, here's my goal, help me edit this to achieve this goal. So you could say, here's a paragraph from my deck. How does it look? Or, correct it. So yeah, it's really good at those sort of tasks too. Pretty much any sort of language task. So creating, correcting, coming up with language, it's really good.
We had a couple people kind of talk about not knowing where to go at events. Well, I think that there's going to be that same not knowing where to go when you actually start up a deck or when you actually start a conversation. Can ChatGPT also help you establish what you're going to do? Like we just heard a bunch of the different presenters talking about what we require to get the door open for our company. So you can stop thinking the way that you did, like a handout, like gimme, 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 ask ChatGPT what to say, and then you can start training your brain to be able to understand how to approach them if you see them at an event.
Totally. Yeah, so ChatGPT is really good at creating plans for you. So you can, we can do a demo here, but you can give it context. Hey, I'm going to this event. This is sort of who I want to meet. What are some questions I should ask? What are some good strategies I should follow? What we've been doing, so for Clip FM, we have a Twitter account, and we had ChatGPT write a content plan for us. So the prompt for that would be something like, I run Clip FM, an AI tool that auto generates clips for podcasters. Help me create a content plan for Twitter. And it'll give you pretty detailed plan for that. So you could, yeah, really good for that sort of stuff. Yeah, Motivational Monday, highlight a feature. On Tuesday, we can do tips, user testimonial. And then, so once it gives you sort of like the high level structure, you can then go in and say, okay, now make me some tweets for Motivational Monday. Make me a tweet for that highlights a feature of the product. So yeah, it's really good at sort of laying the landscape here.
It's crazy what it can do. Absolutely crazy. And I heard on a marketing podcast, it was the Marketing Book podcast a couple of weeks ago. I think Mark Schaefer was one of the guests, and he's an author. I like to follow his stuff because he and I both went to Claremont together. He's also a Drucker alum, but he said one of the uses is, I'm pretty sure it was Mark said it. He uses ChatGPT to write 1-star reviews of his blogs. So he writes a blog and then he has ChatGPT review it, but only give it a 1-star review. In other words, give me a bad review. That way he knows what to improve. And he then goes in and improves his blog based upon what ChatGPT had recommended was bad about it, until he's like, as a 5-star blog. It's fascinating just how it can constantly improve. Go ahead, George.
So one of the things that I would like to see is for future use, if any of the people that are watching live now or in the recordings, if they have suggestions on how to use it, because everybody's brain thinks differently, I think that they should also send a message to you and say how it was successful or unsuccessful, so that you can have a little bit of a baseline, because it would be really cool information for us to use in future sponsorship summits.
Yeah, this really would. This is.
Yeah, totally.
You can really get lost down the rabbit hole with this thing. You can just go deeper and deeper and spend all day on it.
Yeah, totally. And if you're not sure what to ask it, you can actually ask ChatGPT what you should ask it. So you can use ChatGPT to help you come up with prompts to then prompt ChatGPT. So, yeah, like.
But what are the different tones? We talked about it last night. There's a persuasive tone and a. I don't have my list here,
I forget the whole list, but I think the meta idea is that you can use GPT to speak in different ways. So for example, for Clip FM, we have competitor comparison pages. So this is our site, and at the very bottom we have like Clip FM versus Opus Clip, for example, one of our biggest competitors. And obviously GPT created all of this text. I went in and tweaked it as needed, but did the bulk of the heavy lifting. And for the competitor, when we first started making these comparisons, it spoke in a way that was trying to sell Opus Clip, but it was almost like doing too good of a job at that. So I had to tone it down a little bit. And I said, just give the facts. Don't, don't sell it. And it rewrote the whole thing in a very like plain tone. So yeah, definitely can use ChatGPT to speak the way you want. You can also have it speak like notable people from the past. You can say, write me write an outreach email to Monster as if you were Shakespeare. I
Classic.
probably spelled that wrong, but a plea for favor.
A plea for fan. That's not bad.
It is in the likeness of the very energy thou doth produce. So yeah, you can get pretty creative with it.
So I found that thing I sent you yesterday called the writing styles, like the one person suggested that ChatGPT can do formal, informal, persuasive, descriptive, humorous, narrative, inspirational, confrontational, and the list goes on. So you can take the style that you want it to write, confrontational or inspirational. Yeah. And that's what's fascinating is you don't have to be a perfect writer anymore to get someone's attention. You just have to be authentic and then have ChatGPT put it in the language that the person you're sending it to is going to hear, because information is always in the ears of the receiver. The person who hears something is the one who interprets it. And if they interpret it correctly, they're going to hear you right. So if you can speak their language, and maybe ChatGPT can help get you there.
Yeah. What's also cool.
I hear an echo. So go ahead, Cole. Sorry.
What's also cool is along the lines of using ChatGPT to teach you, which is probably what I use it the most for. So this was an example we ran through last night. We were sort of reading through these descriptions to discover easy ways to increase sponsorship value through efficiency using AI and ChatGPT. Let's say you read this and you didn't know what this meant. Like what is sponsorship value? Like what does it actually mean? So you can say this to you can ask ChatGPT, what is sponsorship value in this context? Okay, so in this context, sponsorship value refers to the benefits or returns that a sponsor can obtain from sponsoring an individual, event, or organization. These benefits can come in many forms, including brand exposure, increased sales, customer engagement, or achieving a particular corporate objective. How does that sound? Does that sound right?
Sounds a little formal, but it sounds more comprehensive than what I wrote.
All right, so let's say less formal. Let's change the tone.
Less formal.
So yeah, really good tool to just have in your back pocket. I don't use Google that much anymore. Like if I'm searching for an answer, I usually use ChatGPT. The downside of ChatGPT, or the limitation today, is that I believe the model was last trained in 2021, I believe. So it's not super good at current events. But so yeah, current events, I still use Google. But for things like this, it's perfect.
Nice.
Means the goodies a sponsor gets out of backing someone. So this, it's like the exact opposite of formal now, but I think you get the point.
It is the exact opposite. That's funny. That's classic. Does anybody have any questions for Cole? I can't see the screen, so I don't know if there are questions. When the screen sharing is on, you can't see any of the panelists or the attendees. Cole, do we still need to share the screen, or can we go back to show you so we can see if anybody has a question?
Yeah.
There we go. Thanks for that. That's very enlightening, and it's very interesting, just tools that we have either for free if you use ChatGPT 3.5, or for $20 a month if you use 4.0.
Yeah. Best $20 a month you'll spend.
Go ahead, George.
So we had a few comments come in. So thank you everybody for letting us know that you were stoked on it. It's cool that you were able to show everybody. Cool. Let's see here. Yeah, and the father-son team, they said nice collaboration, Alex. Outstanding, Cole. I want to hear more. Where can they get a little bit more info if they want?
Well, every month we're going to do these seminars. So I don't know if I explained this real well at the beginning, but let me do this now. We're going to host monthly sponsorship seminars that go in depth on a topic every month, and also on technology and social media. Today we started with tech. Next month we'll go in more social, how to boost posts. Megan will help with that. And every month we're going to meet new sponsors. So it's kind of a blend between meet the sponsors and the sponsorship summits. And then every year we will host an industry specific summit that goes in depth on all the topics relative or relevant to that industry, like the motorsports sponsorship summit, the off-road racing sponsorship summit, drag racing sponsorship summit. So every month that we have these monthly seminars, Cole can go deeper and deeper based upon the questions. And usually we tailor the content and the topics based upon the reviews and the surveys and feedback that we get. So I personally always get a lot of, how do I network? How do I meet sponsors? How do I find and get a hold of someone in the first place? So one of the in-depth topics will be networking and prospecting and meeting sponsors. But I think technology now is one that we all need to look at, myself included. It's all new to me, but I see the advantages of using it. So every month we're going to go in depth on tech, and Cole's going to sort of lead that way for us. George, you said you have a question?
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
actually,
I would add to that. Definitely more in depth in tech, but also, the world is constantly changing, and that means sponsorships are constantly changing. And for example, ChatGPT sort of introduced a new playing field. And I think we're going to see a lot more of these like step functions in society where all of a sudden everyone just levels up. And I think our goal is to be adaptive and to sort of teach through the lens of like the changing world.
We just have to be one lap ahead of the competition, one step ahead in the race, and we're going to hopefully win it. So
so I saw Heather ask, what's the main difference between GPT 3.5 and 4? The simple answer is performance. GPT 4 is trained on more data. You can pass in bigger prompts. You can get bigger outputs, and it is better at understanding. Better understanding what you're asking.
So I'll answer that also. Is I had 3.5 first, and I asked it some questions and all sponsorship related, and the responses were good. They were fair. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give them a 5 to a 6. When I upgraded and paid $20 extra and now have ChatGPT 4, same questions, they're getting more in-depth, more, I would say the responses are 7s and 8s now, as opposed to 5s and 6s. I read, and I don't know if this is true, but I read that the data from ChatGPT 3.5 is 18 months older than the data that populates ChatGPT 4. So it's a little bit more current. Verify that, but that is what I read. So go ahead, George.
So there's actually 2 things that I wanted to do. Cole, maybe you could get ready to share your screen again, because Philip Kaufman from Monster, one of our presenters, asked if we could actually ask 1 or 2 of the questions that came through today and see what the answers are. And while you do that, Cole, and you kind of get things ready.
Great idea, Phil.
We had a, oh crap, the comment went away. Don't share your screen just yet, Cole.
Paste the comment first.
The comment was, do you think that Google one day will change or limit their platform because of ChatGPT in terms of content, duplicate content, blogs and stuff like that? And I think that's what Cole was just saying. I think that it's going to be, you have to be progressive and you have to understand the technology that you're using.
They're all doing it. I know Microsoft, Google, they're all, some of their partners, many of the different brands are partnering together, and I forget who's with who, but when ChatGPT 4.0 launched in November of 2022, just like 6 or so months ago, maybe 7 or 8 now, all of the large brands jumped on and showed their AI. In fact, I remember getting on LinkedIn requests by LinkedIn AI asking me, as an expert, quote unquote, in the field of sponsorships, if I would review certain sponsorship context for accuracy. I told it no, because I didn't want it to learn everything we're teaching you guys here, keep the secrets in house. But I think everybody's using AI now. So all the different brands are starting to have their own version of it.
Let's try and do a couple of those examples, Cole.
Yeah, I'll add a comment to that question. So I think there's this, I think the answer is like definitely Google will start to pick up on the fact that, like, if there's 10x more content on the internet now, like 10x more noise. It's like, how do you decipher signal versus noise in a crowded space? And so I think definitely the way in which Google delivers content on search results will have to change. But I think, there's ways around that. Just, instead of directly copying and pasting a GPT response into a blog post, you can use it as more of a starting point and customize it and really make it your own. I think that helps a little bit, but I think what I've heard is sort of the danger, or the potential, one potential danger with this is that if ChatGPT is just trained on the internet, and then we're using ChatGPT to generate blog posts, there's this it's generating content that's trained on itself, and it's almost like this loop where there's like nothing new. So I think what's cool about these things is, well, first of all, I think there's a small window of opportunity probably within the next 6 months to a year where probably the big search platforms haven't picked up yet on this, and not a lot of people are cranking out a lot of blog posts. So I think there's definitely an opportunity to sort of get ahead of the curve. But once everyone picks up on this, you will have to figure out how to differentiate yourself. But I also think Google search is sort of I think it will become more and more outdated over time. Like what we're seeing, it's actually kind of inefficient. When you search for something on Google, it doesn't give you the answer. Like, you still have to go and find your answer. It gives you a starting point, but it doesn't give you what you're looking for. And what's cool with ChatGPT is it just gives you the answer. I think as these language models get better and better, we'll move further away from a search platform that looks like Google, and more of, you just ask and you get the answer directly. So yeah.
Cool.
I hope that made sense.
Phil, did you have a specific question you wanted to ask ChatGPT, Phil?
It was going off of what is it Will or something said earlier. It's like, hey, local. How do I gain more sponsorship from a local regional thing? So
yeah. So Cole, it was up at the top of the comments from Jeff Walls.
Yeah.
If you have regional relationships with a brand, how do you transition to a national one? We are a racing series that races from Alabama to Ohio to the Carolinas.
Let's try.
Cool.
This
I'm just gonna paste this in. Oops, it's not letting me copy that.
You can't copy it? No, you gotta retype it.
That's the line.
How fast can you type, Cole? All right, while he's typing the question out, does anybody else have any other thoughts or questions you want to ask ChatGPT? Maybe what we have to do is text them the question if someone has a long one, and you can just cut and paste it.
I think what's going to happen, Alex, is a bunch of people are going to log off the Zoom call and just go to ChatGPT and see what they can drum up. So
exactly. Yeah.
But it is a fantastic tool, no matter what you're looking at.
We have no affiliation with it. I mean, it's just a tool that we're using. I'm finding it to be extremely beneficial. So that's why I'm sharing it.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
Letting everybody
Can
know.
you guys read this?
No, I can't. They might be able to.
Oh, okay, cool. So I just basically pasted in what the question was. If you have regional relationship with the brand, how do you transition that to a national one? Okay, so transitioning from a regional to a national sponsorship relationship involves demonstrating the potential for increased value at the national level. Here are some strategies you could consider. So showcase your growth and reach, highlight national media coverage, promote your online engagement, develop a clear plan for national activation, success stories, offer exclusivity, and yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, and these are all things that Tony and Andre both said in answer to that question. So I think most of this stuff is ChatGPT just types it out.
Yeah, totally. And you got to apply your own filter too. Like sometimes it may, it's not perfect. I would say that the way to view a ChatGPT response is it's usually 80 to 90% good. But
So
what
type
I've
in there
found,
called bro this out. I saw someone do that. And it was interesting. And then he did it again and again, more and more and more. He did it 3 times. Bro this out.
so what I found with ChatGPT is that if there's this concept called hallucination, and if ChatGPT doesn't know an answer, sometimes it'll make up an answer and speak as if it's certain about something, even though it's not. So one way to prevent that is to say, if you are not sure, tell me you are not sure. Like, do not make up an answer. And then that'll actually, we found that does a pretty good job
That's good.
at not giving you hallucination answers.
Hallucination, they call it.
So yeah, you can say something like, from now on, if you do not know the answer to a question,
Don't reply.
do not make, just tell me you don't know. I mean, you can say, okay. Cool. Absolutely. If I don't know the answer to the question, I'll let you know. Thank you for your feedback. So that usually will go pretty far.
It's crazy what the world is turning into, isn't it, guys? Us older guys, holy moly. It's exciting and scary at the same time. It's leveling the playing field for anybody who uses the tools. You now no longer have to hire other people to do a lot of the work for you. So it allows you to be more efficient by yourself.
All right, Cole.
Yeah.
Let's stop screen sharing for just a sec.
Sure. Yeah, it's your virtual assistant that costs $20 a month. It's insane.
It is a virtual assistant is what it is. It really is. It's very cool. If there are no more questions, and we're going to wrap it up here, and we're just going to go do a group chat. Anybody who's on I'm going to head over. Should I use the other computer, George, or should I stay on this one? Other camera? What's better for you?
It doesn't matter.
I'll just stay on this one. What the hell? This is easy. You can open up the room to chat.
Yeah.
Well,
So anybody that has any questions, like I would like to stick to some questions that are a little bit more specific. You guys can go mess with ChatGPT anytime, check it out, kind of get your bearings with that. And then if you do have questions, you guys can come in after as well. But any to the panelists, looks like we still got Walter, Phil from Monster, Jeff Walls, thanks for the questions, and a bunch of other people on as well. So please feel free to direct any of those questions specifically.
Right on. If there are any questions, I'll stay on. If not, we're going to start our Father's Day weekend. And thank you all the panelists, by the way, for taking off on a Saturday, and everybody who's in attendance for, I know this is a Saturday. I realize it. We're going to try to find the right times, the right dates, that works with everybody. But that is why we record these if you do miss it. George is raising his hand. What you got?
Walter said he wants ChatGPT to be one of the presenters on the next summit.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, maybe we'll sponsor ChatGPT, huh?
Well, we can ask ChatGPT how to reach someone at OpenAI.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. How do I reach somebody? How do I get sponsored by ChatGPT's parent company, OpenAI? That's a good one. I'd love to
I have
get
a
into-
comment though on AI.
Go ahead, Phil.
We're training an AI model to recognize our products on shelf. So if you take a photograph and of a store set in a convenience store, we can count how many cans and tell it how many products are on that shelf. So, we can say, okay, that's Monster Green, that's Ultra Sunrise, that's Ultra Paradise, that's Java Monster, and then it can tell us like how many placements it has, and show us all of that. Then I can take that trained model back to our Monster Media system and run it and say, find all of these cans and all of this content. And now I just improved my search capabilities because all of that information wasn't tagged manually on enter. So now I can say, find me a person drinking Monster Green. And now I can find that content in a more efficient way.
That's fascinating.
That's one thing we're working on. The other thing that we're looking
that lets you
on,
screen through those million pieces of content that you have in your data asset management system.
exactly, without manual. The other thing
to
we're
be
working
impossible.
on is video indexing. So what Cole's doing with clips and individual clips, we're looking at models that recognize specific types of content within video footage. So we sponsor UFC, and we're looking for we're looking for a fighter entering a ring. We're looking for kicks, punches, takedowns, and his arms raised in celebration. Now scan 20 terabytes of content and show me just those clips.
Wow.
So, and it can surface those clips out of all of that content.
So that's also a way that you can monitor your athletes then and see who's maybe perhaps on television. And, it's kind of like what Run Track and used to do back in the day when it, Joyce Julius, as you say, not Run Track, when it would monitor logos and in the media to determine what kind of value athletes provided brands because of the exposure, quote unquote, those brands got on television through the athlete. How many times the logo was on TV, whether it was in view, whether it was in focus. Now it looks like that's a way that you can also monitor performance of an athlete.
Yeah, and from a creator's perspective, I can get specific types of content out of content that I already have in a more efficient way.
Wow.
So if I was a video editor and I wanted all right hand punches out of a ton of content, I could find that in a more efficient way because I have a vision on a type of piece of content I'm looking to create.
Excellent. 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 Well, guys, listen, I want to thank everybody for joining today. All the panelists, all the guests, attendees, everybody who is on, thank you for taking off on a Saturday. I hope this is worthwhile. Please give us some feedback, and we're going to use the feedback in order to steer the topics in the direction of all future monthly seminars and all future annual summits. So with that, Cole, thank you again. That was awesome. I appreciate it. If someone wants to get a hold of you, Cole, how do they do that?
Email is cole@clip.fm.
All right.
And then I'll also plug for you because I know you're too humble to do it, but we now do a membership. I think a few of you are on the monthly membership, but the membership includes all of these summits, monthly office hours, which is something we're going to start doing where it'll be more of like a small one-on-one. You can ask Alex or any of the panelists on the call like your specific questions related to your program. I think you also get a deck review. And what else do they get with the membership?
Membership comes, you get the 12 monthly seminars, you get access to all of those. So far there's 5 annual summits, access to those. We're going to have all the recordings. Currently we have 45 hours of recordings of all the past Meet the Sponsor webinars, and then also all the old summits. It'll come with the one Zoom call a month where you can ask any sponsor related questions. And what I'm trying to arrange right now, I think it's going to get done, is an end of year or annual, maybe not end of year, but towards the end of the year, actual physical party, which I'm trying to get sponsored by some of the people who I'm dealing with, where you actually get to meet a sponsor. It's a sponsorship party. All the panelists who are ever on my call are invited to the party, and all the members are invited. So if the panelists show up, you're going to be at a party with all the people who are in that room, issuing sponsorships. That is my goal. I haven't done it yet, but I've had a few smaller functions in the past in Las Vegas, usually around SEMA. I've done a couple in Indy around PRI. They've worked really well. So I'm going to find the best time and date to have an actual in-person physical party that it's members only around an event where the sponsors and the panelists will be there anyway. Speaking of panelists, thank you again, Wing Lam from Wahoo's, Walter Vale from Sambazon. Thank you, Phil Kaufman from Monster Energy. Thank you, Andre Jackson from Toyota, Tony Merritt from Stanley Black & Decker, and the closer, Cole Stryler, my son from Clip FM. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. This was a really good call. Take care.